Good morning, ghosties and ghoulies. Welcome back to the channel. So, as you can see from what's in front of me, we're going to be doing another Stichomancy video today. Stichomancy is the practice of divination via the written word or books. If you use Bible for this, it's called bibliomancy, but essentially it's the same practice. You basically just kind of attune yourself to the universe, pick a book at random, and you stick a pin in the side. Close your eyes, pick a passage to read, and hopefully that passage will have something relevant or of interest to you. So we're going to do that today. I'm going to bring the camera in closer so you can see the books. Now, I have them covered so that you're not influenced by whether you like a particular book or whether you think a particular book is good. Some of the best Stichomancy I've done are books that are kind of questionable. So I'm going to pull the camera in, let you have a look at those, and then we're going to get to the Stichomancy part of it.
There would be voices for the song. I would be filled right up.
Okay, so you have a moment to have a look and decide whether you're picking book 1, pick 2, or book 3. So we're going to start with book 1.
But I know that you
So I'm just going to set these two aside for the time being. So book 1 is Patrick O'Brien's Master and Commander. So we are going to do a little Stichomancy on it. See what the spirit world has to say. Okay. He was still a little shattered from the night's excess, but the steadier part of his mind assured him from time to time that he had done himself no good. The disciplinarian action could be taken against him without any man thinking it unjust or oppressive, and that he was exceedingly averse to any immediate meeting with Captain Hart. Okay, so I think that this is pretty clear what this is about. This is about overindulgence. It's about doing things that you know are not healthy for you. And it's sort of about perhaps coming to a point in your life where you're reckoning with that and accepting the fact that you need to make some changes, and that you've brought about some things to yourself that are probably not the healthiest habits to have. So this particular passage, I would say, is about learning a bit more temperance and moderation in your life, and accepting consequences of your previous actions. So you may have done yourself some temporary or even permanent harm through some of your prior actions. So it's good to be aware of that, but it's also good to know that you have control of it too. You can choose to start today to actually make some changes habit-wise that will make your life easier and keep you from harm. So that was the Stichomancy reading for Captain, Master and Commander. It's a great book too, so awesome. So we're going to move on to the next one. Stichomancy number 2. Number 2. Okay. This book is thinner. Now, it says it's by Richard Bachman. And it is by Richard Bachman, but for those of you who don't know, Richard Bachman was a pseudonym that Stephen King used when he was going through, I guess, a period of reckoning within himself as whether his books would be popular, whether his writing would be accepted and become popularized if he wasn't actually Stephen King. And he did that as an experiment, I think, quite a number of years back. He published a number of stories and books under the name Richard Bachman. This is one of them, and it's in its original cover. This actually says Richard Bachman, and the interesting thing about this book, not to get into a whole book video or anything, but there is a fake biograph in the back. This isn't Stephen King. This is, I think it was one of his managers or friends or somebody who worked with him. This is their picture, but this is a fake autobiography of Richard Bachman, who is actually Stephen King. So we are going to do a Stichomancy on this book and see what messages it might have for us. Traffic slowed to a bumper-to-bumper crawl, still a mile from the beach. Most of the vehicles in this parade bore Canadian license plates. A lot of them were thyroidal wreck vests, which looked big enough to transport entire football teams. Most of the people Billy saw, both in the crawling traffic and walking on the sides of the road, seemed dressed in the least the law would allow, sometimes less. And there were a lot of string bikinis, a lot of ball hugger swim trunks, and a lot of oiled flesh on display. I think there's a couple of messages in this. The traffic slowed from bumper to bumper. The sense that I got is a sense of delayed, things that are delayed, enjoyment that's delayed even. This relates to a summer kind of environment. So there is a feeling of delayed kind of enjoyment or delayed vacation, delayed relaxation. And it's very interesting. I find it really funny that I pulled a Stichomancy that actually has mention of Canada and Canadians in it, because I am Canadian, so of course that's going to resonate with me. It's probably just coincidence. We know we don't believe in coincidences, but that's okay. There is a feeling of, I think that there's a message in this that I'm getting a very strong sense of delaying vacation and delaying gratification in that way. I feel that there is actually a message in this for somebody who watches that may be in prior years kind of a snowbird traveling south. There's definitely a message around that. I think that the feeling around it is there's a sense of relief going on right now, and a sense of a return to normalcy and a return to being able to travel and to being able to have that kind of environment, have that kind of process happening of the snowbird kind of idea. It's still not going to happen for a while. There's still delays, so don't expect everything to be going back to normal right now, even though vaccines have been rolled out and things in the US are actually changing and shifting, and they will be quite quickly. They've had the inauguration now, and there's going to be a return, I believe, to some more normalcy in that regard. But as far as traveling south or traveling for vacation down there or for your snowbird experience, I would say that it's not the time for that yet, and that will still be delayed for quite some time. I get the feeling that it won't be until we won't be returning completely to normal as far as that goes until at some point next year. That is just the feeling that I'm getting off this, but there's definitely a sense of delayed gratification and a delayed holiday. And there's also a feeling, don't jump the gun on it. Don't jump the gun on thinking that things have returned to normal and that it's safe or reasonable to be traveling in that way for the time being. I would say that that is the message in this. Great book if you've never read Thinner. Okay, third Stichomancy of the day, book number 3. This is Haunted Museums and Galleries by Andrew Hind, and I actually have a few of these kinds of books in my library, and they are a lot of fun, and I love to kind of just read through what other people are experiencing in different places. And museums and galleries are close to my heart. I love museums, I love galleries. I actually worked at the Hector Heritage Key here in Pictou for a couple of years, and I usually volunteer there. I didn't volunteer last summer because of the COVID, of course, but if you're around Nova Scotia sometime in the next few years, and you should hop upon the Hector Heritage Key, come visit the museum. It is haunted, and I actually start my ghost tours from there for most of the ghost walks that I give. So we're going to pull a Stichomancy from here and see what it has for us. Okay. She raised a finger to her lips. Shh. Then she giggled softly and disappeared. Brianna gave a startled cry and stepped back from the room and ran off to find her parents. Interesting. A while later, the family was leaving the Billy Bishop home and museum. Brianna glanced over her shoulder for one last look at the elegant Victorian-era house. she gasped. Way down the hall, the mysterious girl poked her head out of a room and waved goodbye, a big grin on her face. I find this very interesting. For you who have visited my channel before, you know that my sign-off every time is don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night, because they're there in the light too. I think this is a really good example of experiencing a spiritual interaction or having that kind of experience in broad daylight in a place that you may not expect it. And I think that it's also a very good testament to not being afraid of it. I think there's something mischievous that happens with some hauntings, and this definitely feels like one of them. I think that there may be, there's a sense of, there's a couple of messages in this, one of which is the one that I always say, is don't be afraid of anything that you experience, because it's not out to get you. 99.99% of the time, what you're experiencing is simply a remnant of someone, or if it is something that's sentient, it isn't something that's out to harm you, it just wants to communicate. And sometimes they can be mischievous, because I've experienced that myself. There's a mischievous nature to some of the entities and spirits that I've experienced, and I think some of that is just boredom, honestly. It can be probably very boring being dead. In any case, I think that this is actually a message about having a little bit more fun. There is that spiritual message in it about experiences that way, but there is another message about just relaxing and having a little bit of fun. Having a little bit of mischief and a little bit of a joke is not a bad thing. Even though we live in very serious, trying times right now, sometimes you need to blow that off and just have a little bit of fun. Don't take things so seriously. I think that this more than anything is the message for this Stichomancy is whoever this is meant for, you've been taking things very seriously and to your detriment, and being afraid of things that, you know, there are serious situations going on, but you don't need to be afraid all of the time. You can still have some light in your life, and you can still have some humor in dealing with the darkness. So I think that is the message in this Stichomancy, and I hope that for anybody out there who hasn't visited Pictou, you will actually come by the museum. Well, we have several museums actually, but the one that I'm related to is the Hector Heritage Key. We also have a McCullough House Museum, and there's a fantastic museum out in Scottsburn called Walk Through Time. So if you are in the Pictou County area over the next year or two, as we get back to normal and are able to get out a bit more, please stop by and visit us. And in the meantime, I hope that Stichomancy helped you. I do think that there is a sense of frivolity and joy in that reading, that you kind of got to take things with a little bit more humor than you have been. So I hope that those were helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed the readings, and I hope you stick around with me on the channel. If you liked what just you experienced, then please leave a comment, like and subscribe, it helps. Ring the notification bell, you can always be told when these videos are coming up again. I'm going to be having some new things happening over the course of this year that'll be interesting. I have a couple of kind of fun interactive things that I have planned for the next few months. And in the meantime, until I see you again, please be safe, be happy, and don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night, because they're there in the light too.